Over the weekend, I decided to do a little experiment where I left my Sims game unpaused and running completely on its own for 24 hours. And I don't mean 24 hours in game, I mean 24 hours in real life. So I built a house, I set up some Sims, and I let them just sit there and run on their own for a full day and full night just to see what would happen. And as you can probably imagine, this ended up being extremely chaotic. So I'm gonna walk you through everything that happened. All of the woohoos, all of the fires, all of the deaths, and all of the babies that were born. So this is the house that I created. And I guess that house is kind of a weird word to use to describe it because this is a very strange building. But the idea is to create basically a dollhouse, because that way when I go into tab mode and I set it up so we can view the whole thing, we want to make sure that from this angle we can see every single room and all of the Sims inside. The whole point is just to let the game run and see what happens. So I tried to fill in a bunch of stuff for them to do. So starting down here in the kitchen, you're gonna have to excuse the mess because the Sims are just useless, as you know. But we've got a little dining table, we've got a computer, they've got some cooking appliances that obviously caught on fire many times. I also gave them a cupcake machine, which they ended up really liking. We had the staircase right here, and then over to the right, we have the living room. In here, I've got a TV, I got a video game console. This is like a little candy basket from Spooky Stuff, so they can grab treats from it. I put the couches like this so you can actually see them if they're napping. We also have a yoga mat, there's a globe bar, a piano. I put this closet here in case they would woohoo in it. And over here is the bottom of the swimming pool, so we'll get there. Back in the front yard, I put a grill, and this was the cause of a lot of issues, which we'll get into. You can probably already imagine what those issues were. We also have some bees that were very frequently attacking my Sims. I put an extra toilet out here. Turns out they loved it. We got a telescope in hopes they would die. I put this horseshoe thing in case they wanted to play with it. Upstairs, we have kind of like a gym space in the hallway. So they've got some workout equipment and a mirror. Over here, we have the bathroom. They only have one real toilet stall, so it's a good thing we had the one downstairs. They've got a shower here that they can woohoo in, and then a shower here that is like easier to see. We also have a bathtub, a sink, and some music so they could dance in here. And then over here is the bedroom. I tried to place all the beds so you could see them. We had just 5, and at times we had like 9 Sims in here, so they were kind of fighting for them. We spent a lot of time napping, like on the couch, and also napping in this hot tub. They slept in this thing a lot. We got a pool so they could swim. Upstairs in here is the kids' room, so I put like all the toddler things. Out to the right, we have like the outside patio space. Lots of stuff for them to play with out here too, like swing sets, basketball hoops, a woohoo bush. I got this ball pit for the toddlers. We got another telescope. There's a cheer mat, a couple cow plants. And then over here, this is what I call the Peppa Pig room. I had to add an extra toddler bed, but we also have a video game mat. There's a sauna and also some Peppa Pig. I did this on my Twitch stream, so, you know, we kind of fuel each other with chaos over there. One of the most important parts about this is actually the windows that I use. These are CC windows by Little Dika, and they're not really a window. They're kind of just like a giant hole in the wall. And the reason they're so important is because using real windows, the glass is kind of foggy, so it's hard to see fully through them. Obviously, there's like panels to it. And if you don't have windows, the game thinks it's outdoor lighting and then it gets too cold in there. So you need to have a window to fix the lighting and keep it like temperature controlled, but the base game windows don't really work, so those CC windows are kind of a lifesaver in us being able to see everything. And there's a couple other things that I set up to try and encourage the Sims to behave more interestingly. So I made a club, and in that club I added the whole household. We used to have more, but they're dead. Spoiler. And I set a handful of club activities, so I had them be romantic with everyone, I had them woohoo with everyone, I had them fight with everyone. I also set them to fix objects. And then this last one, I kind of switched out throughout the stream, kind of as an experiment. I was babysitting this the entire time, so I stayed up for like 24 hours straight just to keep an eye on everything. So I encouraged them to use the telescope in hopes that Sims would die. Then too many Sims died, so I switched it to like swimming. We had it be cleaning for a while. The handiness one, the fixing objects, really came in clutch though. I've got a couple autonomous settings turned on with a mod called MC Command Center. So I have auto pay bills on, and I also have auto fix objects, and that that's really important because like it's all fun and games when they break stuff, but also when they break stuff, it kind of ruins everything. And I don't want to have to keep constantly coming back and repairing things eventually, because if they break both the toilets, like it's funny for a little bit, but then when you've got 20 hours left of the stream, it kind of becomes a problem. So I made it so they would autonomously repair the broken toilets and everything. So if they broke it, they would at least try to fix it. And then if we had like serious fires that would burn the whole kitchen down or burn the grill down, I would let them sit and just eat quick meals for a little while and then eventually come back and replace the burnt stuff myself. And then you've got to worry about pop-ups and things like random phone calls or different like trait change pop-ups. To fix that, there's actually a cheat that you can use, but you need a mod for it to work. The cheat is ui.dialog.auto_respond. And what that does is it auto responds to any pop-up that happens. Even like when the babies are born and it asks you to name them, it just auto names them asterisks and like closes the pop-up so you never see it happen on stream. Even when like babies are born and there's a pop-up to name them, it just auto closes it so you never actually see it pop up. This is not really a cheat that the average person would need, but it helps for this. The problem is this cheat used to be in the game and then they disabled it. I don't really know why, but you need Twisted Mexie's all cheats mod for it to work. I'm gonna link all the mods and stuff that I use for this down below, but that is how I set everything up. And after I got it all set up, I just pressed unpause and I let the game run for 24 hours straight. And while we were doing this, we had a lot of really funny things happen. There were glitches, there were like cow plants eating people. So I want to run you through some stats and then show you some of the best moments. In total, the Sims woohooed 22 times. There were 4 different spots they could use to woohoo. They used the closet twice, the bush 3 times, the shower 5 times, and the sauna 12 times. I think the Peppa Pig vibes, but also this heartbed that has really high romantic aura really helped us out. So they were constantly using this disgusting, dirty sauna to woohoo. The Sims got eaten by cow plants 40 times. Nobody died from the cow plants, but they kept eating the cake and then getting spit out. It's actually impossible for a Sim to autonomously die from a cow plant. They have to eat the cake twice to die, and they just won't do it twice in that time period, so it's impossible. But it is still funny when they get eaten, so it was kind of a highlight. We had 25 fires, mostly from the stove. It caught fire 13 times, the grill caught fire 9 times. And then we actually had the computer and the stereo both catch fire at one point while trying to be repaired. I think that was from the cursed lot trait. And then Bob just like caught fire himself at one point. Actually, at the exact moment that we hit $300,000 raised for charity. Is my game good? Oh, my game's not good. My game's not good. My game's not good. We're about to hit 300,000. Bob's on fire. Nobody's helping him. Oh my God, we just raised $300,000 for St. Jude. And Bob's on fire. What if he dies? Oh, he's good. He's good. He's good. Sims got into 11 fights, and the biggest culprit was Don Lothario. He was involved in 8 of them. He basically fought like everyone in the entire house at some point. We had 7 Sims die, 3 from a meteor, 3 from a fire, and 1 who got electrocuted. And we also had 5 babies born. So I had them autonomously woohooing with that club, and then I used a mod to make the risky woohoo percent chance 50, which means they had a 50% chance of getting pregnant from any woohoo. And we ended up with 5 kids, 2 of which got taken away. So that was not so good. Let me kind of walk you through the order in which these things happened though. Really, really early on, like when I first unpaused, Vlad and Stanley went straight to woohoo in the shower. It was like almost immediate. And then right after that, we had another woohoo between Kyle and Bob in the closet. One of the fun parts about doing this live on stream is that people were there like the entire time with us. So we were all kind of rooting for different Sims and like shipping people together and like really hoping for babies to be born. And pretty soon after that, Rory the werewolf and Stanley Humphrey, my weenie Sim, woohooed in the sauna, and Rory got Stanley pregnant. The problem is when these things happen, you don't really know straight away. You can hope that somebody's pregnant, but in game, 1 day is 24 minutes in real life. So for a baby to be born, it takes 3 in-game days, and we're not taking pregnancy tests because we're just letting the game run. So you kind of just have to wait half an hour and hope that like a pregnancy starts showing. And during During this pregnancy, like really early on in the first hour, tragedy struck. So I had set the club activity to be using the telescope, and I had 2 telescopes placed. So Sims were constantly using it. And as you maybe know, there is a death associated with this telescope. It is really rare, but there is a chance your Sim can get struck and killed by a meteor. Yeah, it happened twice, like back to back. The first was the tragic clown, and I must warn you, this is actually kind of scary. She was just standing there looking through the telescope, and then all of a sudden this meteor just falls from the sky and crushes her. It's kind of a graphic Sim's death, to be honest. The Grim Reaper comes, everybody is sobbing, we're all kind of laughing because it's the first death. And then really soon after that, Vlad starts using the same telescope, and then poor Vlad also gets struck by a meteor and dies. I was kind of sad about this because I was sort of hoping that he might burn in the sun. The last time I did this, he did die in the sun, and it was really funny watching him like go outside, almost burn, run back in, but he didn't even get a chance to do it this time. He just died like straight away. Meanwhile, Stanley Humphrey is still pregnant, so he finally gives birth. The game doesn't actually name the babies, they just get called asterisk because of the pop-up thing, but my Twitch chat was naming all the kids as they were born. So this baby got called Vienna, like a Vienna sausage because of Stanley Humphrey. She was kind of a star, everybody was so excited because she was the first baby. And actually, while Stanley was pregnant, Nancy Landgrab got pregnant. Nancy Landgrab woohooed with Kyle in the shower, and she works fast because she wasn't even one of the first Sims. I added Nancy and Don Lothario as like replacements after the first 2 died, and then she went and immediately got pregnant. And unfortunately, while Nancy was pregnant, we had a very devastating fire. At this point, there had been a few fires already, and you know how Sims get fears now? Yeah, so they all had a fear of fire, which caused them to just stand there once the grill caught fire. Literally just standing around looking at it, nobody's doing anything. The fire is spreading, and they're all still just standing there. Kyle dies immediately from the fire. Then it spreads to Stanley, and he dies too. And at this point, nobody is doing anything, so I actually have to step in and like stop it, because it had spread so far that it went outside of the fenced-in area, so they couldn't even get to it. What do I do? Do I just let it happen? I think I have to just let it happen. So that was pretty bad. We had both of the 2 new fathers die in this like really horrible fire. And then Nancy Landgrab gave birth, and Twitch chat decided to name our second kid Baby Babyson after its father, Kyle Kylson, who was newly dead. And at this point, we kind of had to decide what to do, because last time I did one of these unpaused experiments, we didn't have infants yet. So on one hand, it's kind of exciting to try and play with infants, but on the other hand, you can't really see the infants. So they were there, but they can't do anything. They're just kind of laying there. And obviously the whole point of this stream is for them to be autonomous and do stuff, so it's kind of better to have toddlers because they can at least walk around. But we still decided to try it with infants and see what would happen. Unfortunately, we very quickly learned that infants are really glitchy. And a lot of us knew that already, but it became a big problem in our unpaused stream. First of all, nobody was taking care of anyone. They were being very slow to baby care. And then we had this really weird glitch where Rory got stuck holding Vienna. Rory the werewolf was Vienna's mom, and she picked her up at one point and then just never put her down, but not in like a, oh, it's cute, she's holding the baby kind of way. It was more of like a, oh, it's glitched and the baby is stuck to her kind of way. So everything Rory did, she was holding the baby. Keeping in mind, Rory is a werewolf, so she was even rampaging while holding the baby. She's like running around, destroying stuff, still holding the kid. Rory actually at one point fell asleep on the bed, like napping with the baby, and it looked kind of cute. It looked like she was cuddling it, but it isn't a feature. It was just a bug. Like the kid was stuck to her and it was glitched. So here's the thing. When there's glitches like this, usually I will step in and reset the sim, but there's also a level of wanting to just let it run and see what happens. Like I'm babysitting, but I also don't want to be like constantly fixing stuff. I kind of want to let them fix stuff because that's the whole point of just, you know, seeing what happens. So Rory had the baby stuck to her for so long that she never fed the baby, which resulted in Vienna getting taken away. I have done these unpaused streams a few times before. I did one other 24-hour stream. I did a couple 12-hour streams, and I have never had my Sims baby get taken away. Yeah, Vienna got taken away. So she was gone. We had 2 babies. Now we only have 1. And I decided after that to just age them all straight up into toddlers to avoid glitches like that. With the baby getting taken away and like all the deaths, everybody was kind of sad for a while, so we didn't have a lot of woohoo happening. But after a couple days and they all got over it, things things got exciting again. Actually, Eliza and Bob Pancakes woohooed in the sauna and got pregnant. I put the sauna there hoping somebody would glitch into it and die from the sauna. That never happened, but they did use it a lot for woohoo, so I'm glad I put it there. With this, you don't really know what they're gonna autonomously use. There's so many items that people suggest, like, oh, put a Murphy bed, put vending machines, put a dumpster, but I tried all that last time and they just never used any of it. So it really is kind of an experiment to see what works best and what they use the most often. In this case, we have really learned that the sauna is good. But anyway, Bob and Eliza's baby was born and then named Maple Syrup by the Twitch chat. I feel like Baby Babyson and Maple were kind of like the top two faves, especially because Vienna got taken away. They didn't really have her to root for anymore. And actually, the fourth baby was also Bob and Eliza Pancake's kid. They woohooed in the closet this time and got pregnant with Blueberry Pancakes. Blueberry was born kind of in the middle of the night in real life, so I think they had less of a following. They were kind of less of a favorite. Our next death, unfortunately, was also fire related. It was the grill again. Bella Goth was grilling outside. She catches fire. Everybody just stands there. No one does anything. Nobody intervenes. And then Bella dies in the fire too. So at this point, 5 Sims have died. 3 kids have been born and 1 got taken away. And now it's like really the middle of the night. And this is of course when the glitches start happening. I was way too anxious to sleep, so I was up. And I don't really understand what went on here, but there's a lot of neighbors in Sulani, and the neighbors tend to come to your house to try and help you with fires and stuff. And somehow, some way, one of the neighbors glitched through the wall and got stuck in our house. Twitch chat very lovingly named this guy Tyler, and all of a sudden he was just in the family. I had been going through and trying to add extra Sims after people died to like fill the house back up. Tyler added himself. He just joined us without us even asking him. I think Tyler was really kind of the star of the show here. Chat named him Tyler Tylerson, again after Kyle Kyleson. In Tyler's life, he got into 2 fights. He fought both Don Lothario and the ghost of Vlad. He also got eaten by a cow plant once, which we will get into. But speaking of the ghost of Vlad, remember how he died from a meteor strike? So I added him back to the household as a ghost because I wasn't just quite ready to let him go yet. And the problem with ghosts that have died from this meteor is they very frequently get re-struck by the meteor. So like everything seems fine, we're all just inside the house, things are calm, and all of a sudden something will fall through the sky and crash into the ghost in the kitchen. It is really jarring, especially because the stream is so quiet for the most part. Like it's just an idle stream of, you know, Sims walking around. And then all of a sudden there's just this crash of the meteor striking a ghost. I wasn't really that sad about any of the Sims dying, but I was heartbroken by the cow plants. So let me explain this to you. We've got 2 cow plants in this house, left cow plant and right cow plant. And Twitch chat kind of has this thing where they're like, oh, I'm team left cow plant, I'm team right cow plant, you know? And it's pretty funny because as soon as they put the cake out because the cow plant's hungry, everybody starts screaming, like, please come eat the cake, feed the cow plant so it doesn't die, right? Well, unfortunately, right cow plant did die. Worst day of my life. Honestly, almost ruined the stream. But I went in and I added another cow plant, eventually to replace the right cow plant, but cow plants can be kind of buggy, and so when I picked up dead right cow plant to move it to add the 3rd cow plant in, it came back to life. So at this point we had 3 cow plants. Things are going fine, but now all of the Sims have a fear of cow plants because they've all been eaten by them multiple times, so they won't even go out there anymore, which results in left cow plant dying and right cow plant dying again. So that was just the worst day ever. But luckily the 3rd cow plant, the new cow plant, stayed on and kept eating people. And like I mentioned, Sims got eaten by the cow plant 40 times. So while all that cow plant stuff is going on, Rory and Daddy Winter woohooed, of course, in the sauna again, and they got pregnant from it. So Rory and Daddy Winter had our 5th baby, and chat called this one Krampus. And now at this point, it is the morning, so the sun's about to rise, and I've been staring at my computer all day, all night, and I'm like, you know what? I just reset everybody. Things seem to be good. I'm gonna go on a walk. So on this walk, I'm going, it's a nice morning, I'm up bright and early, the birds are chirping, and all of a sudden, I get all of these messages from my mods that are panicking because a pop-up has shown up because I reloaded the lot and I forgot to turn off pop-ups. So here I was thinking, oh, I'll reload so it runs better while I'm gone, but actually I just made it possible for pop-ups to happen. So I get these messages, I'm like 20 minutes away, I went on kind of a long walk, I am like near tears trying to spam text Dan, like, please Please go and fix it. Nothing is working. But I remembered that my laptop was in the bedroom because I had been like laying in bed watching the stream and my laptop was not on silent. So I get my mom to start FaceTiming me, like spam calling me. So it's ringing on my laptop to hopefully wake Dan up. Luckily, he wakes up, he goes and fixes it. All is well. And then I saw 2 baby owls, which was kind of fun. And I kind of take my time walking back home knowing that Dan is awake now. And of course, while I'm walking back home, Agnes dies. Agnes Crumplebottom also got killed by a meteor. The meteor deaths are just so chaotic. They're so funny when they happen, but it's like actually kind of scary. And you know what? Agnes had a kind of funny life. At one point, she had this really weird glitch where she was like running on the stairs, but running in place. And then she just completely teleported across the whole house, upstairs and all the way into the hot tub. At one point, Agnes also woohooed with Daddy Winter. I actually kind of ship it. I feel like the two of them are kind of good together. But the morning, like right at the end of the stream, is where stuff started to get really, really bad. In like the last couple hours, Agnes dies, and even worse, baby Babyson, everyone's favorite baby, got taken away. It's really hard to encourage the Sims to feed the babies, so you have to have a high chair, otherwise they just won't do it. And like nobody was cooking, so there was no food in the house, and baby Babyson got taken away, so we had not one but 2 of our kids get taken away. And then right at the end of the stream, like last half an hour, Eliza Pancakes is trying to fix the fridge. So she's standing there trying to repair it and she gets electrocuted and dies. So she was like this close to making it to the very end of the stream. She was one of the OG Sims. There's only 3 OG Sims left at the very end. Eliza, nope, not anymore. Dead, electrocuted. Overall though, this whole thing was so funny. There was so much just like random stuff going on. Obviously Rory being a werewolf, she was rampaging constantly, so she's just like glowing red, running around everywhere, breaking things. Because of how that game mat was placed up in the top left corner, it looked for a while like the Peppa Pig statue was holding fire. The Peppa Pig thing was really terrifying, like the whole time. So in the end, Bob Pancakes and Rory the Vampire were the only 2 original Sims that survived. So now I kind of want to walk you through some other highlights. Rory and Bob also woohooed the most times. Rory woohooed 8 times and Bob woohooed 6 times. Don Lothario was actually the one that got eaten by cow plants the most times. He went there and ate that cake 7 times. Eliza ate it 6 times and Bob ate it 5 times. Rory and Daddy Winter were tied for starting the most fires. They both started 5. And I mentioned this earlier, but Don Lothario had the most fights. He got into 8. It was also kind of interesting at the end, looking at their skills and their relationships. They didn't really end up with that many skills, to be honest. I was kind of disappointed. In the past, they've like maxed the dancing skill and stuff, but nobody really succeeded at much today. But they did all absolutely despise Rory and Vlad. The problem is Vlad hisses at people, and then Rory obviously rampages and breaks stuff, so everybody hated them. In fact, nobody really liked anybody all that much. Before I started, I had cheated a lot of their relationships together, at least between the original Sims. So I made sure everybody had like some romance with somebody to maybe encourage some more woohoos. It didn't make a difference. They all woohooed with anybody. But like nobody's really friends. They all just like lost relationship. They even made enemies with Blarfy. How do you even manage that? How can you be so evil and like constantly attack the bear so much that even the bear hates you? Oh, this is actually kind of cute. Blueberry Pancakes and their dad both passed out on the floor right here. I didn't see that before. Oh, that's kind of sweet. I think that's a good point for us to end this on. I actually uploaded the 3 remaining babies and Tyler Tylerson to the gallery if you wanted to download them. This poor guy got himself trapped in our house, but he is one of us now. He is a member of the family. And I'm gonna have all that stuff linked down below, like mods and info on how I set this up. I'm also gonna link my Twitch channel down below. This was a weird stream because it was like I left the game on its own for a full day, but I do stream The Sims every day on Twitch, and we're actually in the middle of a huge fundraiser. We've been raising money for the entire month of May for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. They're a hospital here in the US that helps a lot of little ones that are battling some pretty horrible diseases, especially things like cancer. And they're a research hospital, so they do a lot of really important like ground groundbreaking research and then share that research with the whole world. And every family that comes to St. Jude never receives a bill for anything, for their treatment, but even for things like housing and travel to and from Memphis to get to the hospital. St. Jude covers all of that thanks to people who donate to them. St. Jude covers the cost of all of that thanks to donors. And actually, as of recording this, you saw the bar was up at like 300,000. As of today, we've raised $320,000 and we're still going. So if you want to come by, I'm gonna have my Twitch channel linked down below. And if you want to watch the last video that I made doing a 24-hour unpaused challenge, I'll link that for you too. I hope that you enjoyed this. I really had fun doing it. I won't lie, I was exhausted and I was kind of anxious and stressed out the whole time, but I think it ended up being really fun and really, really funny as well. But with that, I'm gonna go. So I will catch you all tomorrow, okay? Bye, everybody. Truly, the loss of baby Babyson was the most heartbreaking part of this entire stream. I think the highlight though was Tyler glitching himself in and then getting stuck there. Like, what a truly unfortunate series of events for him to get trapped in this place.